All right, so I have a super packed schedule today with meetings and all kinds of things client related. But in that process, I also have to prep for a drone shoot tonight and tomorrow morning. So I just kind of want to run you all through a little bit of what that looks like. Okay, so one of the first things that I do when it comes to prepping for any kind of shoot, whether it's drone shoot, ground shoot, whatever it is I go into OneNote, into a client folder that I have, and I will generate my gear list. Of course, me and the client have already talked about the needs of the shoot, the shot list, all that stuff. So I know exactly what I'm going to need out there in the field when shooting. I'm going to go ahead and go into OneNote, write down all of the gear that I need, kind of in a checklist form. That way later when I go to pack and prep, I'm making sure I don't forget any media, any lenses, any mounts, anything that I could potentially need. So after I make my gear list, the next thing that I typically do is go and make sure that all my media is clean and has been backed up and ready to format for the new shoot. So I'll take my Inspire 2 SSD as well as the micro SD that's in there and make sure that all the footage from the previous shoot has been dropped onto my archival drives. Then I will make sure those are cleaned and formatted. That way when we go to shoot, we don't have anything to worry about. Oh, and I also make sure that I take 2 backup SSDs. So essentially whenever my SSD on the Inspire fills up, I will take that footage, drop it to one SSD, then I will drop it to the backup SSD. That way I always have my backup footage, and then that way I can format my Inspire 2 hard drive on site and not have to worry about losing any of the footage or anything like that. I also gotta watch my time because I have a 10 a.m. with client, so yeah. All right, so that's good. That's no problem. The SSD is ready to be formatted in the Inspire 2 as well as the micro SD, because you have to run both. It's really interesting how you have to do that in that drone. But yeah, so these are both ready to be formatted for the shoot tonight. The next thing that I'm going to do media-wise, because it's always the most important thing to back up your footage before you leave site. So tonight I have these 2 Samsung T7s. They're 2 terabytes, and I will just go in and make sure that there's enough space. I'll probably only need like 1 terabyte for tonight max. So I'll just go in and make sure that there's enough space on each of these, and I'll go ahead and set up my folder structure for tonight's feature. All right, time for our client meeting. All right, just finished up my meeting. Now I'm gonna go through and build my shot list for tonight. That way when I show up, I know exactly the shots I need, the wides, the mediums, the tights. Fortunately, I'm working with a really good DP and producer on this, so everything's really organized, and they already got that sent over to me via email. So I'm going to jump into StudioBinder to create my shot list. That way I can access it really easily on my phone when I'm out there. So StudioBinder is a really good resource when it comes to total production organization. I use this for all of my call sheets, shot lists, script writing, notes, like anything revolving around a larger production. Not only for Glide Cinema, but even when other production companies or marketing agencies hire us for shoots, I will use this for all my call sheets for contractors and stuff like that. So it is a really good resource. Again, that's StudioBinder. Check them out. All right, so now that I have all my gear list done, my media is formatted and ready, I'm gonna go ahead and start loading up my gear, all my batteries, all my lenses, all that good stuff. And then I'll actually pull the drone out, make sure the firmware is up to date, good to go before we actually head out. So I'm gonna do that now. Inspire 2 batteries. All right, so batteries are checked. Variable MDs, check. The iPad's charged up. Gotta get all of our lenses. Got these cool little cases for our lenses. Really nice. Pack right in there. 4 lenses. 4 lenses. Let's see, got the MacBook Pro in the backpack. SSD reader. T7s are good. Gloves. Oof. I don't have gloves. Okay, got my harness. All right, so gear checklist is done. Let's get the drone out, make sure firmware is good, all that good stuff. Like I said, now it's really important what do I do with my iPad. It's really important to get the drone out, make sure that firmware is good. That way when I'm out in the field, we're not haggling with that. Yeah, so just a process I always want to make sure I do before I head out. Also, it gives me a good chance to put on the first lens that I want to start with. Here's the drone. Spire 2. Let's get it. Also, make sure you have remote ID modules if you don't have a DJI Series 3 or newer, or a Mavic 2 Pro or 2 Air, because remote ID is not built in, and this is crucial. So, get the bad boy turned on. All right, we're on the latest version, so that's good. So another thing I want to do, just because the remote ID module here is still a relatively new thing, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick test of it, turn it on, turn on my drone tag app, make sure it's registering just fine. We're good. So now it's saying that it's in flight, so that's good. We know our remote ID module works. I'll go ahead and set all my settings too here. That way I know when I get there, everything is just good to go. I can pull the drone out and fly. So now I'm just going to run the props really quick, make sure everything's functioning fine. All right, everything looks good, so let's load everything up in the car and get shooting. All right, so another quick pro tip is actually when you're getting ready to shoot, don't put your drone back in the case. Leave your drone out and accessible, same with your controller and everything that you could need, your lenses, your batteries, leave them all in a nice confined area. That way when you gotta shoot, you don't have to pull the case back out, reset everything, do all that. It's all right there, easy to access. Just makes you a little quicker, because when it comes to drone stuff, we don't have all the time in the world, so you gotta be thinking on the go. I bring the case so I have everything with me so I don't forget anything. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. I'll take the actual drone, and it's just tucked in there real nice. So that way when I get to where I'm shooting, pop it out, get it up in the air, get my shots, and roll. All right, I'm gonna go get my laptop, backpack, and then we're gone. All right, so we got our spot selected that we're gonna park and start shooting. One thing I forgot to mention, obviously before you do any flight or before you accept any job, make sure that you check your airspace for the area that you're shooting. I have flown this area that I'm shooting so many times that I'm not concerned about it. But traditionally I would use an app called AirHub Portal. You can get all your Lance authorizations, everything you need through there. It's super simple, not complicated at all. But I would always make sure to check that before ever accepting a job, because there's been times, especially when I first started, that I did not check airspace. I just accepted the job. It was good money. And then, you know, a week before the shoot, oh crap, can't get airspace authorization. So make sure to check that before you accept the job. Once you accept it, go ahead, get any authorizations you need, set up your flight plan, all that stuff. All right, and let's get going. All right, so we just finished our first set of batteries, as you can hear. All right, so I'm at the next location. As you can tell, this golden hour is getting really spicy. So I'm gonna grab a few shots. We got some shots of the bridge, some shots of the skyline, some very simple things. I'm gonna knock that out, and then we're gonna wait for dark and get some night footage. All right, it's officially nighttime. We are doing some night drone shooting. As you can see, we got our safety light on there. That thing's supposed to be super bright. We're gonna get up, get some shots of the bridge, and then maybe fly over and get some shots of the skyline, a little bit of the city lights. And then we'll go head downtown and finish off our shoot for the night. So let's get it. All right, last flight of the night. We're going to fly down Main Street, get some nice night shots of the city. Then we're gonna bring the bird down, put everything up, drop our media before we leave this spot, and then we're gonna go back to the studio and back it up to archive. All right, and just like that, we're wrapped. We got another shoot on Wednesday morning to finish up for this feature, but essentially that's a good breakdown of what the whole day looks like whenever we're flying drones here. And it's funny because I'm here where the whole thing started at Angel's Envy, and I started flying drones commercially in 2018, and Angel's Envy was our first spot that we hit up. So yeah, follow along. Thanks.